Hello again. What does it mean in practice to face down your unknown unknowns with courage and experimentation? One of the most helpful ideas I've explored with clients facing the uncertainties of COVID-19 is to treat the world they are in as a new world. If you were setting up your business, forming your team, or scoping your project from scratch, how would you do it in a COVID-19 world? So let's get straight into our life hack for this week. What image or metaphor would you use to describe yourself as a leader or worker in the world today? Here's an example. You could think of yourself as an explorer. Imagine growing up in England's green and mainly pleasant lands, and for the first time as a citizen of this island, you discover a desert. Now, wherever you go, or wherever you live on planet Earth, you know there are some things you will always need: food, water, shelter, a supply route, access to people with skills you don't have. But how all that works out in a desert, for you, is a mystery. How will the temperature change at night? Does the climate have seasonal variations? Does anything grow out there? Is there anything else alive out there? The only way to find out is to explore. I've sometimes seen the question asked, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? Whilst this is a useful question to raise ambition, in the current climate a more useful question might be, what are you prepared to risk if you know you wouldn't be successful straight away? Experimentation and exploration carries risk. People who experiment are prepared to tolerate a certain amount of failure as the price of the greater prize of making new discoveries. Explorers are willing to risk getting lost, providing they can find their way back to some point from which to reorient. The difference between us now and traditional explorers is that instead of starting from a familiar world and moving into an unfamiliar one, it's the world we are in that has become unfamiliar. It seems we have all become explorers even though we haven't gone anywhere. A practical response to this is to invite your customers, stakeholders and wider team members to become active explorers with you. It can, after all, be very frustrating having other people make changes to their activities and processes and just expect you to fall into line with them. Much better if you can be involved in the process of change yourself. Let's take an example, the issue of communication and meeting people. What's important to you with respect to how you meet with people and what's important to them? How many of your team members or stakeholders are suffering video fatigue and need a break from video meetings because they're becoming physically tiring and having a negative impact on their input and performance? Who do you talk to who has little or no choice about using video because to do anything else would put their health at a serious risk? And what wider factors are important to people? Do you or they want to meet in places that help support local economies? And if so, which economies? City centres, outlying areas, national chains or an independent sector? Do you want to invest more time in late summer, early autumn to meet face-to-face where possible, assuming this will be more difficult and less desirable in the winter, when weather and travel will make it more difficult? What time frames are you planning around? Many of the plans you made in January 2020 would have been significantly changed by June. How ready are you for the possibility that some of the plans you've made in September will need to change in January 2021? If you approach work and life as an explorer in a world that is changing around you, you'll face it with a more flexible and adaptive mindset. You'll find value in the changes and adaptations you have to make, without feeling a sense of failure if you have to modify them again in the near future. And remember, it's not just practical necessities that are changing, people's priorities are changing as well. Next time, we'll think some more about how we can understand better the hidden inner dynamic of how other people are responding to change. So, until next time.